What is up, guys? It's the Film Teen, and I'm back today with another video. We will be reviewing my favorite movie ever, Little Miss Sunshine. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for clicking on the video, and thank you for subscribing and liking. I want to say that if you guys have been a part of this YouTube journey so far, thank you. Time to review. I love the characters in this movie, and I feel like the way that they're introduced gets me excited to watch it every single time. And every time I watch the movie, I feel like I can find a different perspective to really focus on. I love the camera placement and the way that they frame everyone in the movie when they're all together. And I really love Steve Carell's sarcasm, and I just love the situational comedy that happens in this movie. And I really love the themes. And that's about it. This is a perfect movie to me. There are no flaws here. If any of you have flaws with Little Miss Sunshine, tell me, because I will defend this movie with my life, probably. But anyway, let's get into my analysis. Before I start, quick sidebar. If you haven't seen this 14-year-old movie, there are spoilers up ahead, so fair warning. And just a quick note, watching this movie with the intent of mining it for subtextual evidence did feel a little bit voyeuristic, and it was weird because I just loved the story so much. I just wanted to watch the movie, but I felt like I couldn't exactly do that when I was trying to find evidence to use in my essay. Nevertheless, it was really fun to make, so I hope you guys enjoy this argument. Let's get into it. Most of the reviews that I have seen claim that this is a movie about winners and losers, and that being a loser is okay. But I'm here today to say that I feel like Little Miss Sunshine is a movie that asks us to question what is a winner and a loser in society in the first place. Because I think that the Hoover family are the winners in the film in the end. We begin our journey with an opening shot of Olive, the daughter of the Hoover family. She watches pretty girls on TV wait to hear the name of the winner of the beauty pageant. After the winner is announced, the girls on TV scream, and the screen stops as Olive pauses the program. She reverses and rewinds it to watch it over and over again to try and mimic the girls on the TV screen. And right off the bat, this visual metaphor shows one of the core themes in the story. The winners are not real. They're puppets on the TV that follow the rules of the person with the remote, and they're trapped in the box of society. So, as the rest of the family is introduced, we are shown 3 dreamers and then 3 realists. Olive is first, the special daughter dreaming of winning a beauty pageant and being declared pretty. The next is Richard, Olive's dad, and he dreams of becoming a popular motivational speaker. He wants to sell his 9-step Refuse to Lose program and generate wealth for his family. Then we are introduced to the son, Dwayne. Dwayne has dreams of becoming an Air Force pilot like the men he sees on the posters in his room. Time to introduce the realists. The music dulls as we are introduced to Edwin Hoover, Dwayne and Olive's grandpa and the father of Richard. He is seen snorting heroin in the bathroom, dreaming of nothing except maybe relaxation. The matriarch of the Hoover family, Cheryl, is introduced next. She is seen being stressed and overworked on the phone in her car, heading to an unknown location. Now we cut to her destination, a psychiatric hospital. Here, her brother Frank is introduced to the story. Her brother Frank is shown as a man who's lost almost everything, and the title sequence rolls. Little Miss Sunshine. The story continues as we learn that Frank was hospitalized after a suicide attempt, and Cheryl came to pick him up so that he could stay with her family until he recovered. They drive home and prepare for dinner, and shortly after, the father Richard Hoover arrives home from work. Hilarious dialogue ensues that develops the relationships of the characters and context of the story. Frank tries to kill himself because he lost the eyes of his former lover Josh and his job as a professor. We also learn that Olive has been invited to participate in the Little Miss Sunshine regional pageant. And another theme is displayed here as well. Pursuing false goals only leads to more stress. Energy that Richard spends trying to win in his career puts his family under financial pressures while his wife has to generate most of the income until his program gets off the ground. Dwayne has taken a vow of silence in an attempt to win at achieving his goal, yet the energy he spends trying to maintain that vow prevents him from effectively communicating with his family. And although the joy that Olive gets from her pageants is real, it does put a lot of stress on her family. The regional competition is 806 miles away and it happens in a day, and her parents argue about whether or not they're going to make it to the competition. Even so, after a few more comedic moments, they decide to take their yellow VW bus all the way down to Redondo Beach, California. The family road trip starts.
Losers. Sarcasm is the refuge of losers.
How much do I owe you for those pearls of
Oh,
wisdom?
that one's on the house.
Later in the movie, their VW bus breaks down, and when trying to get it fixed up at the car shop, the mechanic tells them that they would have to order a part for their vehicle to have it fixed. The only way for them to continue their trip is to get together and push the van until it rolls into third gear. Surely enough, the family groups together on the side of the road to push the bus. One by one, they run and jump inside, and they seem to be excited by the event. This is the first step towards the family's true win. They pulled off a silly task on the side of the road to get their bus going, working together despite what it may look like to passerbys on the highway. Shots of Olive piecing together a smiley face puzzle and the family entering the carefree highway illustrate this point perfectly. Next, they stop for Richard to call his motivational mentor, Stan Grossman. Stan Grossman has promised Richard future sales and success from his program. Grandpa sends Uncle Frank inside the store to purchase some adult magazines while Cheryl and Olive go to use the restrooms. Waiting at the register, Frank's old lover can be seen in the background perfecting his hair in a small mirror. After an awkward reunion, Frank learns that word has spread that he's lost his job and his older lover Josh was now in a relationship with Frank's ex-coworker, Larry Sugarman. According to Josh, him and Larry are headed off to a weekend spa retreat because they heard that Larry Sugarman was awarded a genius grant for studying their field. Before Josh and Larry drive off, a sign that says "Fill yourself up" can be seen in the frame at the gas station. This and the shot of Josh looking in the mirror illustrate the self-absorbed, image-obsessed nature of the quote-unquote winners in their society. This also connects to the earlier shot of the winners inside the TV box, in that Josh's desire to perfect his image traps him under the pressures of other people's standards. Frank heads back to the bus with the adult magazines, but he's quiet and embarrassed. Soon after, we see Richard getting upset at a phone booth because Stan Grossman delivers the bad news. His 9-step program did not get off the ground, after Richard likely paid a fee for Stan to promote the product. Meanwhile, Richard has been taking time away from his family to try and get in contact with Stan Grossman. People like Stan Grossman that have careers that profit off of the desires of others are the only ones who stand to gain from the winner-loser mentality, selling empty promises to losers who want to be winners. Meanwhile, Richard's failed attempt to create a self-help empire leaves his family with financial troubles. Those troubles spark heated arguments between him and his wife. They pull into their motel and prepare to sleep for the night. They sleep two to a room. After a long argument with his wife, Richard sneaks off onto a scooter to meet Stan Grossman at his hotel. Stan ignores Richard's calls, but Richard confronts him by a pool, asking him why the program did not sell. Stan claims that Richard is the reason the program didn't sell. Despite all of the hard work that he puts in, Richard simply isn't popular enough. Back in Olive's room, Grandpa and her practice the routine for the Little Miss Sunshine competition. Grandpa tucks Olive in for bed, and Olive bursts into tears, asking her grandpa if she is pretty. She expresses that she does not want to be a loser because her dad hates losers, an example of how Richard's toxic ideology trickles down to his children. Grandpa consoles her, calling her the most beautiful girl in the world, and Olive smiles, wipes her tears, and goes to sleep. The first day of their journey is over. We enter the next part of the story with the information that Grandpa did not wake up. The Hoover family follows an ambulance to a nearby hospital and waits in a waiting room. After speaking to the doctors, they head back to their grandpa's body, which is now wrapped in white sheets. At this point in the story, Richard experiences the death of a dream. Despite all the work he put into his 9-step Refuse to Lose program, his family is still in the hole and his father died before he could even achieve any real success. Richard gives up on his false dream that he once held on to. Due to their need to be at Redondo Beach by 3, Richard devises a plan to steal their grandpa's body and avoid the paperwork. After a funny Mission Impossible moment, they are off again on their silly adventure, and Olive also took some eye tests. The family grows a little bit closer after having to pull off these crazy things together. Later in the film, Olive gives out eye tests to Dwayne and tells him that he has 20/20 vision. But he takes the colorblind test and it's revealed that Dwayne is in fact colorblind. Frank turns to him and says,
You can't fly jets if you're colorblind.
frantically banging his head against the window and shaking the sheets of the car. Frank begs Richard to pull over, and eventually they pull over to the side of a road. Dwayne runs out of the bus down the side of a hill, screaming at the top of his lungs. His vow of silence is broken. He delivers his first monologue in the movie, ranting about how all of the adults in his family are in fact losers, and he does not want to turn out like them. Another example of how Richard's ideology is damaging to his children. Now Dwayne is experiencing a dream death. Like his father, he forgets the pressures he previously put on himself. But after a hug from Olive, he gets up and returns to the bus. Dwayne makes his first step towards freedom. At this point, Richard and Dwayne have given up on their winning ideologies. This is shown when Richard, searching for a clear road towards the hotel hosting the Little Miss Sunshine pageant, drives through guardrails and over sidewalks while Olive says,
"You can't do that."
But Richard keeps on driving, and they get to the hotel. Richard is no longer impaired by the strict rulings of what it takes to be a winner. The characters now run towards the second floor of the hotel to sign Olive up for the Little Miss Sunshine competition, knowing that it is 3:04 p.m. When they get there, the pageant host looks down on them, not wanting them to sign up, but the host assistant claims that he can do it easily. Olive is officially entered in the Little Miss Sunshine competition. Olive heads backstage to prepare for the show with her mom, and we see lots of other girls using alien-like tools to style their hair and makeup. Richard sits in the audience and watches the contest. Little girls walk out like perfect packages on display for the world, mature hair and makeup and big smiles on their faces. The adults in the audiences cheer, but Richard looks around uncomfortable. He realizes that Olive probably isn't going to win this. Outside of the pageant walls, Frank and Dwayne sit, and Frank finds a newspaper with an ad for Larry Sugarman's new book. Though Larry Sugarman appears in the newspaper as the top Proust scholar in the world of academia, like the body that his boyfriend obsesses over, his title is temporary and will fade with time, just as his ad in the newspaper will be replaced by the next issue. Yet the memories that Frank makes with his family on the trip can last him forever. Dwayne asks for them to go outside and walk the beach. Frank and Dwayne have a heart-to-heart conversation on the beach pier, leading Dwayne to deliver his second monologue, containing a core theme of the story. One should do what they love and forget about the beauty contests of life. Him and Frank head back inside the hotel. As the quote-unquote beautiful girls strut across the stage at the pageant, backstage, Olive is sad. She knows she's not like the other girls, and she tries to suck in her stomach in front of a mirror. Dwayne skips through to the back of the dressing room to talk to Cheryl. Richard goes also. Dwayne and Richard, after recently having their dream deaths, do not want Olive to have the humiliating experience that they did. Even so, Cheryl claims that they should let Olive be Olive. This is what Olive wants, and she has come a long way for it. So they try to make the best of it and let Olive continue to participate in the competition. Minutes pass as the pageant scheduler says that it is time for Olive's act. Olive goes out and prepares to start her routine. Her moves, sensual yet hilarious, include ripping off her pants. People get up and leave because they do not like the sexual nature of Olive's routine. Yet it is hilarious considering that the concept of their event is kind of similar. At the Little Miss Sunshine pageant, they don't ask the girls any questions about their intellect or character. They simply sit back and watch the girls with white teeth and bouncy curls parade across the stage. The pageant host, however, already reluctant to let Olive participate, is furious at the way that she's dancing. She calls for the announcer to grab Olive and take her off the stage. Olive's father, Richard, comes to her defense, tackling the announcer to the surprise of his family and the audience. At this point, Richard stands with Olive in front of the crowd while the pageant host requests that the music is cut. More people leave, but one by one, the Hoover family joins up to dance on the Little Miss Sunshine stage, doing silly moves with no concern of how they are looked at or thought about. The Hoover family has now experienced true freedom, not concerned about the social restrictions placed on those around them who want to be winners. Richard has stopped peddling his 9 steps, Dwayne has stopped isolating himself from his family, and Olive is actually enjoying herself. Cut to a few hours later, and the family sits in a police station. They're informed that they are free to go on the condition that Olive never participates in another pageant in the state of California again. But they're okay with that. They no longer choose to subscribe to the notion that they must be winners fighting to the top of the social ladder. The family pushes the bus one final time to start their journey home after leaving the hotel. They laugh, put big smiles on their faces, and they jump into the bus, speeding through the wooden parking lot gate on the entrance side. They break the barrier. Meanwhile, the mean pageant host sits in shock behind the other gate, staring in disgust. It is here that through another visual metaphor, the core theme of the story is illustrated. Those who free themselves from the imaginary barriers of society are the real winners, living life on their own terms according to their own decisions, while those who subscribe to the winner-loser mentality will always be stuck behind the imaginary barriers of life, how other people perceive them. They will stall themselves from reaching their destination by subjugating themselves to the expectations of others. This is my analysis of Little Miss Sunshine. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and once again, thank you so much for watching, especially if you've made it to this point. I had a really great time making this video, so I only hope that you guys enjoy watching my content. I also still recommend watching Little Miss Sunshine if you haven't seen it before, because I did not mention some really great scenes in my analysis. So overall, if you haven't seen it yet, I'd still recommend watching it just because the humor floats me through it, regardless of how many times I've seen it. For me, the movie is not really dependent on how surprising the plot is. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I really hope you guys enjoyed this content. And comment below with your thoughts. I also have a letterbox if you guys are into that. Once again, thank you guys for watching so much. And thank you for subscribing. See you in the next video.